Welcome to the Explainer. So, what if you thought about a football team not as a bunch of athletes, but as a piece of software? And what if every single tactic was just a line of code? Today, we are going to be decoding Oyun Kodları, that's Turkish for the game codes, to uncover the hidden programming that runs the beautiful game.
Everything starts with this one powerful idea. Football is a game, but it's not a coincidence. Now that really forces you to think, right? If what happens on the pitch isn't just random chance, then what is it? Well, it's a system, and like any system, it has a code that, if you look closely, you can actually learn to read. So what exactly are these game codes? It's this core philosophy. A team operates just like a software program. Every pass, every single run, every tackle, they're all commands. And that makes the coach the lead engineer, the one who's writing and, let's be honest, probably debugging the code that the team executes out on the field.
You know, any good piece of software has a user interface, right? The part you can see and interact with. In football, that's the system of roles and rhythms we see playing out on the pitch. So let's dig into layer one.
Okay, so the very first line of code we have to understand is, well, it's a critical update to how we think. We need to forget about static positions, like a pin just stuck on a map. Modern football is all about dynamic roles. Think of it as a set of functions and behaviors that a player is programmed to execute at any given moment.
And this is where the programming gets really smart. A player's role isn't fixed at all. It's designed to adapt in real time. So when your team has the ball, a midfielder's code might tell them to be a playmaker. But the second you lose possession, their function instantly updates. Initiate the press. It's a fluid, constantly changing script, all based on the state of the game.
This completely changes the fundamental question a player has to ask themselves. It's no longer where am I supposed to stand, it's what subroutine am I running right now. Each player basically becomes a processor, constantly executing a specific piece of code for their current role inside the team's bigger operating system.
Okay, so if the player roles are the output we see on the screen, what's the actual programming language behind it all? Well, that brings us to layer 2, the invisible, geometric language of the game.
The code starts with the absolute basic building block, the triangle. You could almost call it the hello world of tactical programming. It's this simple shape, formed by 3 players, that acts as the fundamental command for keeping possession. It makes sure the player with the ball always has an option. From there, the code gets a bit more complex and builds to a square or a diamond. This shape isn't just about keeping the ball anymore. It's about moving it forward. It links the defensive line to the midfield, creating the stable structure that's specifically designed to bypass the opponent's first line of pressure.
And then finally, when you get into the attack, the system executes its most complex command, the pentagon. By flooding the final third of the pitch with players in this shape, the system creates a total tactical overload. For a defender, this is a nightmare. There are just too many passing lanes to cover, too many runners to track. It's designed to make the other team's defensive programming crash.
And listen, these shapes are not just some abstract theory. They are the actual syntax of football. This geometry is the mathematical language that dictates a pass's direction, its speed, and whether an attack keeps going or just fizzles out.
And all of this geometric code, all these shapes, they all serve one primary function: to control and manipulate space. Because in football, space is the ultimate currency. The team that manages to create it, to control it, and then to exploit it, that's the team that manages the game. Simple as that. But here's the thing. Even the most elegant piece of software is only as good as the person who wrote it, the engineer. And this brings us to the final, and maybe the most important layer of the code, the human layer, the coach.
And right here, the philosophy takes a fascinating turn, from the purely tactical to the deeply personal. It argues that a coach's first project isn't the team, it's themselves. As the book says, you must build yourself before you build the team. The system you create is always, always a reflection of your own internal foundation.
Now, this isn't some abstract philosophical idea. It's a very practical stress test. Think about it. Can you remain calm during a crisis? The answer to that question directly impacts the kind of code you write.
An anxious coach, they create anxious, reactive code. A calm, collected coach creates controlled, proactive code. Your personality isn't separate from your tactics, it becomes your tactics.
So you could have the most brilliant tactical software in the world, but it means nothing if the hardware, the coach's own character, is prone to crashing. One single moment of panic, a lapse in discipline from the sideline, and the entire system can get corrupted. This is exactly why coaching is, at its heart, a character profession. Tactical genius is pretty much useless without the source code of emotional resilience.
So in the end, a coach's real authority, it doesn't come from the title on their jacket or a badge. It's earned. It's earned through their principles and their consistency. As the book puts it, coaching is not a role, it's a stance. It's a firm, principled foundation that the entire team's structure is built upon.
So let's bring it all together now. How do you combine the system, the language, and the engineer to actually write a winning code for your team? This final quote really synthesizes the entire philosophy perfectly. Knowing that tactical code, the geometry, the roles, that makes you a good coach. Understanding the human code, the minds and motivations of your players, that makes you a leader. But being able to master both, well, that is what writes the code for a champion.
Which leaves us with a final question for you. The next time you sit down to watch a match, try to look beyond just the surface action. Don't just see the players. Try to see the program they're running. See if you can spot the patterns, the geometry, that hidden language. So what is the code behind your favorite team? Thanks for joining us.